This is a second weather brief for ATSC 231, and this is July 9, 2017. Here are the current METARs for around this area. You can see in Grand Forks that the winds are from 350 at 7 knots, visibility 10 statute miles, clear, 19 degrees Celsius, temperature 17 degrees Celsius for the dew point, 29.84 for altimeter, and some MVFR conditions down in south Minnesota and some overcast in southeastern Minnesota with thunderstorms with slight or moderate thunderstorms with rain. Here's the most current radar for our area. You can see it's pretty clear. Nothing really going on. Here's our surface weather map. You can see there's quite a few lows around the western half of the United States and a few highs scattered throughout. And then off California there's actually smoke, probably from the Whittier fire. And then there's quite a few occluded fronts up in Canada. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 occluded fronts, and this occluded front wraps around all the way down to the stationary front, and then there's an outflow boundary off of Florida, and then you could see some more highs on the eastern coast in Tennessee and up towards Pennsylvania. Here's the most current visible satellite imagery. You can see it's getting dark, but there are clouds developing over the Four Corner states in Montana, Colorado, Nevada, and then down in Texas, and also Mexico as well. A lot of convective activity down there. Here's another image of visible satellite. So again, it just shows those cloudy areas a bit better where there may be some convective activity, and then also along Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, in those areas as well off the coast. Here's our infrared satellite. You can see some colder clouds in southern Minnesota where we saw some overcast conditions and thunderstorms. Also down into Mexico and the Four Corner states, and then eastern Texas, and along the coast here, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. Here's our water vapor. You could see Hurricane Eugene and all the precipitation and moisture that's bringing in up through Mexico, and again those same areas that we saw on visible and infrared satellite. Here's the current air reps and PIREPs. Not much going on except some turbulence scattered throughout. And for North Dakota we have 1 at flight level 340 light turbulence, and RIME reported by a B739. Here's the current SIGMET. So again, we see some convective activity in southern Minnesota, and then some more convective activity in northeastern Wyoming. Here's our current convective outlook, and again for Minnesota, gives us a bit better idea where the rains might be centralized and located in southeastern Minnesota there, extending into Wisconsin. We have some pretty high freezing levels from 150 to 170 plus, mostly through contiguous United States. There are some areas down off the Gulf, Mexico here, off of western coast of Florida, then up out of Louisiana, and then also northeastern part of the United States, some lower freezing levels. Here's our 925 millibar chart. Shows that the humidity is pretty low throughout the U.S., with most of the humidity off the Gulf of Mexico, and then off the eastern coast through Florida, up through the eastern coast there, and then some parts of northern United States up into Canada. There's a 700 millibar chart. Some more humidity up at this level. You could see over eastern Texas and going down into Mexico for that convective activity. Also that convective activity we saw off the eastern seaboard. And also up into northern Canada, northeastern United States. Here's our 200 millibar chart. You can see that the winds through the jet stream are not very powerful right now. The highest is off the northeastern United States at about 80 knots. Here's a low-level prog chart. We can see this one starting at 6 Zulu, freezing level at 16,000. Kind of wraps around here and ends up in Northern California. There's some MVFR locations off of Washington, and then in Wisconsin and South Carolina, you can see an area of turbulence at 8,000 feet. And then for our prog chart starting at 18 Zulu, same freezing level, some fewer MVFR, and that same area here around Michigan, Wisconsin, and then turbulence right here at 10,000 feet. Here's our high-level prog chart, valid at 18 Zulu, July 10th. Here's our jet stream going off the eastern coast at flight level 390, going to flight level 370 to 360 across the Atlantic, and jet stream here up into Canada at flight level 280 with 100 knot winds. We could see quite a few isolated embedded thunderstorms, cumulonimbus clouds from the surface to, or from the low-level prog charts to 40,000 feet. Then also you can see some turbulence up into Canada here. You could also see Hurricane Eugene with cumulonimbus going up to 54,000 feet. Here's our convective outlook. You can see it was issued 1733 Zulu on the 9th of July. It's valid from the 10th at 12 Zulu to the 11th at 12 Zulu. You can see slight conditions for most of Montana, marginal, wrapping around to probably the weather we saw in southeastern Minnesota, going from into Wisconsin, and then hanging out over Illinois and Indiana. Here's a current area forecast. It was issued at 0145 Zulu and valid until clouds and weather valid until the 10th at 14 Zulu. Outlook valid the 10th from 14 Zulu to the 10th to 20 Zulu. And then for South Dakota, we see scattered cirrus clouds, 9 Zulu, eastern portions scattered at 3,000, eastern portions occasional visibility, 5 statute miles mist, 12 Zulu scattered at 12,000, broken cirrus, and outlook is VFR. 18 Zulu, there's a warning of portions, showers of rain. Here's our TAF for Grand Forks. You could see 920, or the 9th at 2320 Zulu. See variable at 6 knots, greater than 6 miles visibility, scattered at 6,000. Then from the 10th at 19 Zulu, winds from 300 at 5 knots, visibility greater than 6 miles, and scattered at 20,000 feet. Here's the winds aloft. You can see at 24,000 where the winds start to pick up. Winds from 310 at 42, negative 21 degrees Celsius. Then they keep going up for 30,000 and 34,000. Winds 34,000 are from 310 at 56 knots, negative 48 Celsius. And then lastly at 39,000 feet, winds from 300 at 61 knots and negative 56. Lastly, here's our graphical forecasts showing ceilings and visibility from 5 Zulu. You can see all that precipitation, slight or moderate thunderstorms with rain in southeastern Minnesota. extending down here, and then we have some off of western North and South Dakota. We'll bring it out to 10 Zulu. See, we get some potential LIFR, and that precipitation keeps moving southeast. And that is it for this weather briefing.